Alright, you already know what this is. You already heard me spout about this numerous times where I talked about the worst animes, the trashiest animes of 2024, respectfully. And now, for this one, I'm finally going to conclude with the best animes of 2024, narrowing down to just the top 10 best animes of 2024, to be exact. And like I said, when I did my video talking about the worst animes of 2024 video, I'm basically going to do a redo of the best anime that came out in 2024 earlier this past year because it was one of the first videos I dropped on this channel that started this whole thing in the first place. And like I said in my worst top 5 worst animes of 2024, it only makes sense for me to redo and make a updated version of the show and give it the justice that it deserves. So, without further ado, let us get into this list, starting off with a big, gigantic amounts of honorable mentions, which I'm just going to breeze through and maybe talk about it a little bit in a few of these shows. So, first off, in our honorable mentions, it's going to be Danmachi Season 5, or Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon Season 5. Now, again, I am aware that this show did wrap up this year with, I think, the final few episodes, but technically, majority of of this fifth season came out last year, and it only makes sense that for me personally, this has to be in the best animes of 2024 as an honorable mention, and I'll leave it at that. Next up, we got Windbreaker Season 1. Absolutely good, really outstanding brand spanking new show when it came out last year. Even though the second season, which came out earlier this year, wasn't like super mind blowing and as great as the first season, it's still worth checking out nonetheless. Next is the final season of Day Life with Day Life Season 5. Again, Geek Toys absolutely crushed it with these last two seasons of Day Life. And while I understand the show has been polarizing over the years, I can't deny that this fifth season really was the season that really wrapped the show up to what it's supposed to be. Again, at this point, if you haven't seen Day of Life, be wary and go check it out at your own free time, your own free will. It's a pretty good final season, nonetheless. Next is a re-anime adaptation of the legendary Spice and Wolf anime by Passion Studios, and this one was a really good and solid re-anime adaptation. It actually was able to recapture the original from back in the late 2000s into its tea, and I think that with the second season around the corner, it's going to get better from here. Next is Isla Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. Honestly, probably one of the more underrated slice of life animes come out of last year with its humors and the fact that we have amazing voice acting talent from a lot of the characters in the show. And overall, like every time Isla speaks in Russian is like the chef's kisses that you're ever gonna hear in a show of this caliber. Next, we have Spy Family Code White. While, yes, this is another movie that came out back in December of 2023 specifically, it wasn't available for me to watch in the Western States until last year of the summer or winter 2024 to be exact. But needless to say, Spy Family Code White was amazing. It's worth checking out if you've been a huge Spy Family fan. This is a fun movie to watch all around nonetheless. Next, we have Jellyfish Can Swim in the Night, another take in like the music industry sort of kind of anime, but dives into like four key characters with a really dark past and really progressing into like this big epic finale of epic proportions. Again, animation by Dogakobo Studios, you're going to absolutely love it nonetheless. And the same also can be said with a show similar to this with Girls Band Cry. Another show that honestly, going back when I said that Ninja Kamui didn't deserve the award for best original anime, this show should have been it, man. Girls Band Cry should have won that Crunchyroll award in general because this show has a lot going for it. And while yes, I understand that 3D CGI may not be everyone's cup of tea, this show was able to crush it and showcase what it had to offer nonetheless. Next, we have Gushing Over Magical Girls. Again, I talked about this already in my best trash animes of 2024, so I'm not going to elaborate here, but just to put it in a nutshell, it's amazing and it's worth the watch. Next, Classroom to Elite Season 3. Really good third season that's going to be setting the stage of what's to come with the fourth season. And honestly, I feel like it's a much better improvement from the second season in my view. But either way, Classroom Elite's still crushing it as always. Next, we have the final re-anime adaptation of Urusei Yatsura Season 2 that originally came out back in 2022. This one by David Productions, they absolutely crushed it. They were able to really capitalize and sum up what Urusei Yatsura is all about. And while it's not going to I don't think they're gonna ever fully adapt the whole show from this point forward. I think that now for anyone that wants to watch and check out what Urushiatra ends up being in the manga, I highly recommend reading the manga nonetheless. Next, we have Rama One Half. This one's another anime adaptation, which by Mappa Studios, they have actually done this show some justice, and it looks super great, super amazing. Hell, the second season that's currently airing right here, right now of 2025 is still going strong to this day, and I'm curious to see like how that second season is going to go from here. But either way, it's still a good show nonetheless. Next on the honorable mentions is a surprising one is Kaiju number 8. Again, really great standout show, really blew up in the scene last year, 2024. But for me, it just was barely not going to be able to make it to the top 10, unfortunately. And not because of how dismal the second season was, in my view. Just in general, like Kaiju number 8, you could tell the show was being held back by something. But either way, given that this is a really short manga series, it's going to be interesting where things go from here. Next, we have Blue Box, a show that honestly is gonna be going down as probably one of the most underrated and gorgeous slice of life animes to come out in a while. And while I don't think this is like definitely up there to hit in the top 10, I think this is a recommend must watch for slice of life connoisseurs like myself. And then to wrap it up, we have A Sign of Affection or Yukizaki to Renren. This one is one of the most wholesome slice of life animes out there, where basically if you liked I think the movie was called A Sign of Affection movie. That's basically what this anime is all about, but expanded to like 12 episodes instead of a movie. It's really good, super wholesome, a lot of really good twists and turns in the slice of life anime romantic scene, and it has a really good bumpy theme song that's iconic in my view. And finally, to wrap it up, Haikyuu movie, The Dumpster Battle. This one, in terms of where it's setting the stage up to wrapping up the Haikyuu franchise, it's really good. It's amazing. Haikyuu's still crushing it as always. And for a movie that is just this small for like a little arc of a movie, it's a must watch if you love Haikyuu nonetheless. And now that we're past the honorable mentions, it's time to break down the 10 best animes of 2024, in my opinion. So, at the number 10 spot, we have a show that was super long waited. We had to wait for about 5 years, technically speaking, and as the third season of Konosuba. Yeah, look, call me a bit recency biased right there as a huge Konosuba fan, but I can't deny that this third season, despite the fact that this is under a different studio, Drive Studios, and how much this show is super beloved by many, myself alike. I was really worried that the third season was going to not live up to the first two seasons of Konosuba and what made the show special and amazing. But no, the third season continues the momentum like nothing happened at all. And again, I do think that this is one of the strongest that the show has been out there. And while again, maybe at the end of the day, this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I get it. You can't deny that like the chemistry within these characters and everyone at large plays a really big role to what makes the show not only funny and worth the watch, but also is one of the reasons why Konosuba is still popping off, still crushing it, and is still like one of the more popular isekai animes to come out of recent memory. But yeah, Konosuba season 3 is absolutely incredible. While it's not going to be as strong as like preferably season 2 of Konosuba or season 1 for many hardcore fans, this third season was really solid, and I'm really curious to see like how the fourth season is going to play from this point forward. So moving on from there though, at our number 9 spot, sorry, number 9 spot, we're gonna go with Dungeon Meshi or Delicious in Dungeon. Now, for anyone who has been able to at least peer through my first video talking about the best animes of 2024 video from a while back, I was outspoken and gave this bad boy 7 out of 10, and I still would give it a 7 out of 10 to this day. Because while the first half of the show wasn't like gearing up for something big. The second half is where, in my view, it actually started picking up momentum and actually was blowing me away with like what the show had to offer in full frontal view in like its darker themes. And again, by anime by Studio Trigger, you have everything you ever want for amazing voice acting, amazing creativity when it comes to like what you can eat in a dungeon to make it super tasty. Like there's even moments in the show when we go into like the darker moments where it's like holy crap, it's super endearing, it's super like you want to look at every little detail of this show to really get a glimpse of what this has to offer. And Dungeon Meshi is my view, a super accessible show for everyone of all ages, kind of similar to how it was with Spy Family in a way. But yeah, even though I would still give this first season a 7 out of 10 to this day, I can't deny that Dungeon Meshi was one of the strongest anime shows to come out of last year, which is why it deserved to at least make it into top 10 for a reason. But moving on, of course, at number 8, another big and popular show of last year. A lot this bad boy also won a ton of Crunchyroll Anime Awards recently, and its second season is potentially my anime of the year for 2025, and as the first season of Soul Leveling. Yeah, Soul Leveling season one. What can truly be said about this that hasn't been said by so many anime fanatics online when this show first came out? A really good coming of age terms revenge plot, you could say, but it's super good, super amazing. The animation, like surprisingly, like the animation gets drastically better and better and better with each new episode, which was what the direction of Soul Leveling was going for in the first place, as stated in multiple interviews now. And again, I don't know what A1 Pictures has been up to lately, but my god, this studio is like absolutely crushing with the animation department. But outside the animation, the story is as simple as old as time. The production, the music, the voice acting is on a whole new level when this came out, and it's no surprise that when going to season two, the expectations for Soul Leveling season two to be big had to hit. And I think that, in my view, while the first season of Soul Leveling is not strong, it's not like the best anime of 2024. Season two of Soul Leveling, it's definitely a contender, man, for best anime of 2025. I will spoil that for any of you who are watching this right here, right now. But moving on, of course, at our number 7 spot is the second half of season 2 with Mushoku Tensei season 2 part 2. Now, technically speaking, you can argue that hey, why is this even on here when you should also consider season 2 part 1? Well, the reason for that is that season 2 part 1 came out in 2023 that year. So, as a whole, as I mentioned to many people who love Mushoku Tensei season 2 part 1 and 2, I prefer season 1 of Mushoku Tensei as a whole at the end of the day because it is a lot more stronger than season 2 is. But I can't deny, season 2 part 2 is the strongest that the show has to offer. Rudius is a lot more emotional in this second season. There's a lot more high risk, high reward stakes at hand, and a lot of like the plot going into this second season part 2 is really coming to full fruition, and it's really another reason as to why Mushoku Tensei is one of the best isekais animes to come out of recent memory that's able to slap away a lot of the other generic isekais out there that's currently out and about today. But yeah, season 2 part 2 is absolutely incredible, and it's on such a bit of a cliffhanger high but also low note. But again, it makes me even more excited about what season 3 has to offer by Studio Bind themselves. Moving on though, at the number 6 spot, we're gonna go with possibly the most underrated slice of life anime to come out of last year, and that's Makeine, or Makeine Too Many Losing Heroines. Again, another anime by A1 Pictures. This undoubtedly is one of the most creative depictions of slice of life anime I've ever seen in an anime ever, because there's so many really good, really fun moments that makes you want to like wiggle your finger left and right, and it's taken like the typical trope of like of every main guy or main girl and shit, and the guy has to choose between the main girl or the secondary main girl, and after the main guy chooses the main girl, we kind of have that one question that was always answered, that always has to get asked about every time these type of shows end, and that's what happens to the secondary girl when they lose. So in this show, they actually explore that in really cool and creative ways, while also being super emotional, super deep, and dark at times, and has some of the most gorgeous and creative animation and music choices that I haven't heard in a slice of life anime in a really long time, in my view. But make no mistake when I say that Makiine is definitely a show that people need to give a shot, nonetheless. And now we're here. We're at the top 5 now. Best animes of 2024 has to offer. At the number 5 spot is going to be ReZero Season 3. Now, yes, I'm aware that this third season to get split up to two parts, but For some reason, as a whole, it is considered a whole season three technically, because the first half aired last year and the second half finished up this year. And I did talk about it earlier too. But again, ReZero season three in general is absolutely incredible. It is amazing. It's continuing the momentum and everything that happened from season two of ReZero, which is considered to be the darkest and the most riskiest turning point that the show and the franchise has gone through up until this point. And season three rolls around, and it just, you would think that everything may have been resolved and such, but no, there's like more world building, more things at large to like really dive into, and we get to see that a lot of the characters from season two, their character development, their impression of such, really does carry over to this third season. There's a ton of amazing, iconic villains in this third season that are just so memorable, super great, super menacing, and just overall, performance wise, is super holy shit. It's like the most fucked up performance of voice acting I've heard in quite a while until Gacha Kuda came to the mix earlier this year. Like, ReZero Season 3 still has so much creativity in the tank. It left on such on a positive, but such a grim cliffhanger that really leaves me looking forward to what the fourth season has to offer. And in general, it just was able to wrap up beautifully some pretty big and key moments in the show that really make ReZero what it is. And as I've stated with many shows up to this point, if you haven't watched ReZero yet, what are you waiting for, man? Go check out ReZero and watch the past two seasons and the third season at launch. This is still another great and amazing show nonetheless. But moving on, of course, we're going to go to the number four spot. At the number four spot is a show that blew up tremendously because of one iconic episode, and that is Oshi No Ko Season 2. Oshi No Ko Season 2, I mean, what can be said about this franchise that has been said already when the first season came out prior that year? Oshi No Ko, when it first blew up, was absolutely amazing, incredible, showcasing the dark side of the entertainment industry in every way, shape, or form. And season two is no different, continuing to showcase the dark side of the entertainment industry while simultaneously trying to go into like the mystery gang mode of figure out who killed our beloved Ai-san from the first season. And the show does not hold back on a lot of its emotional stakes. It continues to build on the characters that previously in the first season was built upon but wasn't fully fleshed out. In the second season, we see a lot of these characters from the first season get the full fleshed out treatment that it deserves, and it is done spectacularly, in my opinion. Animation is super great by Doga Kobo Studio as always. Voice acting is menacing and incredible. The music in the show is top notch fire, and each episode, especially in the specific arc, it feels like you're part of the anime, more or less. And there's so much tribulations and look through it that it leads to this amazing dark passing the baton moment finale where now the if you know what happened in the second season, you know now that it's no longer Aqua trying to figure out who killed him and such, but now Ruby's taking the mantle of trying to figure out who was the one responsible for these murders in the first place. And it's going to be super interesting where the third season will go from here. But season two, I think it's like the darkest that the show has to offer, and it's going to be intriguing where the show is going to pan out from this point forward. But moving on, of course, at our number three spot is a movie that I just got done watching recently. I didn't look at this movie legitimately until much, much later because I never heard this movie, honestly and truthfully. But I finally gave it a shot, and I decided that when looking back at my best animes 2044, this movie deserves to be super high up in the top five at least, and that is Look Back. Now, Look Back by Studio Durian is a movie that, as I mentioned when I reviewed this movie a while back, is one of the most beautiful, gorgeous, but sadly poetic movies of the anime industry and like what it's like to go up on the top of being like the biggest anime creator you want. And what's kind of shocking is that you can look back legitimately into this movie and realize that a lot of the moments in this movie is like super cute, wholesome, and even though the ending is like super tragic and is a unfortunate reference to what happened to beloved Kill Animation Studios with the fire arson, if you all remember that story, Look Back is a movie that truthfully, if you love anime, if you love manga, if you love the creativity that leads you to your favorite anime shows and manga stories, this is a movie for you. I For me, this was a movie that really touched me in different ways that I haven't felt in a really long time. And overall, without having to try to spoil this movie as best as I can, Look Back is one of those movies that I feel like is never going to be forgotten for many years to come. As long as people still to this day appreciate the art and the creativity that Look Back was going for when this movie came out last year. But yeah, Look Back is amazing. Please go give it a watch because for someone that didn't know about this movie coming out last year, 2024, I'm glad I was able to get the chance to check this movie out nonetheless. All right, but now we go on to our number two spot. And number two, this is undoubtedly going to be the best anime of 2024. Hell, everyone would honestly agree that this should be at the number one spot. But for me, at the number two spot, we're going to go with the first season of DanDaDan. Yeah, this show that came out at the very, very tail end of last year, 2024, by Science Saru, is still one of the craziest. Holy shit! What the hell did I just watch? Animes and I'm still like shocked and awe. I was able to even watch to this day, honestly. But yeah, the first season of Dawn Dawn is incredible to an amazing and honestly iconic theme song and opening that is just super weird, super out there. Really was able to stand itself apart from other anime shows up until this point. To a story and premise that is just that at first when you watch the show, it might be all over the place and you're not going to understand everything. But somehow, in the mess of aliens, psychics, and supernatural beings that plague Dawn to Dawn, there's so much going on that you really understand everything that's going on up until the very end of the cliffhanger that leads you off on this first season of Dawn Dawn. And again, the voice acting is incredible, the music is amazing, animation is super clean and super creative. On top of it, given that the second season continues the momentum where this first season came off of, I'm honestly glad that Dawn Dawn, the first season, exploded the way that it did. And with season two being, again, like it was with Soul Leveling, a contender for best anime of the year for 2025 at the moment with its second season, I can't say anything else about this show that has been praised about the show already. Which now leads me to my number one spot. And the number one spot, what I think is, in my opinion, the best anime of 2024 to this day. I even mentioned it when making my original video this prior. Looking back at this list, I realized like, was this still my number one spot? But the more I thought about it, the more I ponder on that decision. The more I realized like, no, I really think that this show is still deserving to be in the number one spot because not only is it able to recapture why I love the slice of life genre in the first place, but did something super rare that a lot of slice of life anime shows doesn't do nowadays, and that is live up to its expectations and be better than the first season. And that is The Dangers in My Heart season 2. Now, again, I understand that with looking back at the top 10 and even the honorable mentions, a lot of it could have been number one, honestly, truthfully. But something about The Dangers of My Heart Season 2 is really the culmination of how to really redefine the slice of life genre and make it super unique, super wholesome, give you some of the gorgeous animation out there, and two characters that absolutely you're super rooting for to really be with each other to the very end. And it's super good. There's not like a single bad negative scene in the show where sometimes it's less like they want to throw out like some really bad jokes left and right, or maybe there's like scene in there that just completely loses the momentum of the slice of life genre and like what it's going for. But Danger's My Heart Season 2, undoubtedly by Shin and Animation Studios, has gotta be one of the best examples of how to really do a slice of life anime genre to its fullest and really just showcase like how to do it with going back to the simple basics of things. And the show has everything you want from it. Lovable characters, an amazing soundtrack, amazing story and character progression. Like God, the character progression of our two main characters of Yamada Anna and Ichikawa Kyotaro is still so freaking amazing to this day that I can't get over and gush over why I put this at the number one spot back then, and I will still put this at the number one spot even now. Again, like I said on my number two rating about Dawn Dawn, that show definitely should be at everyone's number one spot. But for me personally, there's something about Dangerous in My Heart season 2 that put it at the very top for me, and I cannot really sway away from that decision. So again, if you haven't watched Dangerous in My Heart already, I understand that maybe the first season might be a little off-putting and it may not be for everybody. That's understandable. But please, please, please give this show a shot if you haven't watched it already, because I feel like once you watch the first season of Dangerous in My Heart and definitely watch season 2 of the show, you're going to be super in love with the show that you would even go far as to read the manga or even check out other amazing slice of life animes to come out in the past, like Fruits Baskets or other big, big slice of life shows that I could name out of the wazoo. But yes, as of right here, right now, that was going to be it for my list of the best animes of 2024. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. I hope to continue more videos like this in the future, but of course, I'll catch you all pretty soon when I talk about the best, the worst, and the trashiest animes come out of 2025. So yeah, that's all I want to say. I'll see you on the next one. Later.